The stars in the Vega sector had not known peace for 300 years. Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the destruction through the main screen. Twisted metal drifted in space like a graveyard of ships. Dead planets floated in the darkness, their surfaces cracked and burned. "How long has this been going on?" asked Lieutenant Emma Walsh, his tactical officer. She was new to deep space missions, and the sight of so much destruction made her voice shake. 3 centuries, Reed replied. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed the weight of what he was seeing. The Athali Empire and the Korthik Collective have been killing each other since before Earth had starships. The Athali were strange beings, made of living crystal. They sang in harmonic frequencies and believed their way was the only pure path in the universe. The Korthak were different, insect-like creatures that shared one giant mind across millions of bodies. They thought as one and moved as one. Both sides had powerful weapons and ancient hatred. Their war had consumed entire star systems. Refugee. Ships fled from the fighting, carrying stories of horror that reached even the outer rim where humanity lived. "Sir," called Chief Engineer Mike Torres from his station, "we're getting readings from the Helios system. Massive energy signatures. Looks like both fleets are there." Reed nodded. Earth's High Command had finally decided that humanity could not stay hidden on the edge of the galaxy forever. The war was spreading. Refugee camps in human space were overflowing. Something had to be done. "What are our orders again, Captain?" Walsh asked, though she already knew. "Simple," Reed said with a slight smile. "Stop a 300-year war and make peace between 2 civilizations that want to destroy each other." The Defiance was humanity's newest battleship. It had experimental quantum armor that could adapt to different types of weapons. Its fusion lance cannons could punch through almost any shield. Most importantly, it had technology that neither the Athali nor the Korthak had ever seen. "Take us into the system," Reed ordered, nice and slow. "Let them see us coming." As the ship moved through space, Dr. Alan Foster joined them on the bridge. He was the ship's expert on alien cultures, a thin man with gray hair who had spent years studying both civilizations from intercepted communications. "Captain," Dr. Foster said, "both species will see our arrival as either a threat or an opportunity. The Athali believe in the purity of single purpose. They will not understand why we want to interfere. The Korthak think with one mind. They will analyze us as a new variable in their war equation." "Good to know," Reed replied. "What else should I expect? Neither side has seen human technology before. They will be curious and careful. That gives us a small advantage." The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Helios system. Immediately, alarms began ringing on the bridge. "Contact!" Walsh shouted. 2 massive fleets in orbit around the 4th planet. One count ... over 400 ships total. On the screen, Reed could see them clearly. The Athali ships looked like giant crystals floating in space, their surfaces glowing with inner light. They moved in perfect formations, each ship singing in harmony with the others. The Korthik vessels were different, organic shapes that seemed to pulse and breathe like living things. They swarmed around each other in complex patterns. Between the 2 fleets was a small planet covered in mining stations. Both sides wanted its rare minerals. Both sides were willing to kill for them. "They've seen us," Torres reported. "All ships are turning in our direction." Reed could feel the tension on the bridge. His crew had trained for this moment, but training was different from reality. They were 1 ship against 400. If this went wrong, the war would continue, and humanity would be marked as an enemy by both sides. "Open all communication channels," Reed ordered. "Full spectrum broadcast." "Channels open, sir." Reed took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few minutes. "This is Captain Marcus Reed of the United Earthship Defiance. I'm broadcasting to all vessels in this system. I come in peace and request an immediate stop to all hostile actions." For a moment, space was silent. Then both fleets began moving. The crystal ships of the Athali formed into attack formations, their harmonics creating a low singing that could be heard through the ship's hull. The Korthic vessels swarmed together like angry insects, their bioweapons charging with deadly energy. "Sir," Walsh said quietly, "they're not stopping. Both fleets are preparing to fire." Reed smiled grimly. This was exactly what he had expected. "Then let's give them something to think about. Torres, bring us right between them." "Between them, sir?" Torres asked, his eyes wide. "Dead center. If they want to fight, they'll have to go through us first." The Defiance moved forward into the space between the two massive fleets. As it did, something strange happened. A quantum armor began to glow with a soft blue light. Energy fields formed around the ship like a protective bubble. "What's happening?" Walsh asked. "The armor is reacting to their weapon signatures," Torres explained. "It's adapting to counter both crystal energy and bioacid attacks." Both alien fleets stopped moving. For the first time in 300 years, the enemies were not looking at each other. They were looking at the small human ship that had dared to place itself between them. Reed stood up from his captain's chair. "Now we wait. Let them decide what to do next." The silence in space was broken by the harmonic singing of the Athali fleet. Their crystal ships pulsed with colored light as they tried to scan the human vessel. At the same time, the Korthic ships released clouds of sensor insects, tiny biomechanical creatures that swarmed toward the Defiance. "They're trying to figure out what we are," Dr. Foster said, watching the sensor readings. "Neither side has technology that can properly scan our quantum armor," Reed nodded. This was exactly what Earth scientists had hoped for. The Defiance was designed to be an unknown factor, something that would confuse and surprise any enemy. "Sir," Walsh reported, "I'm detecting weapons charging on both fleets. Crystal lance batteries and bioacid torpedoes. If they fire—" "They won't," Reed said confidently. "Not yet. They're too curious." He was right. Both fleets held their positions, weapons ready but not firing. The small human ship had done something impossible. It had made two ancient enemies pause their war to stare at something new. "Captain," the communications officer called, "we're receiving transmission attempts from both fleets. They're trying to contact us, but they don't know our language protocols." Reed smiled. This was humanity's first surprise for the galaxy. "Dr. Foster, activate the universal translators. Both channels at once." "Sir, are you sure?" "If they realize we can understand them, they'll know we've been watching and learning." "Yes, Doctor, it's time to show our hand." The translation systems came online. Suddenly, the bridge was filled with two very different voices. The first was like music, crystal chimes, and harmonic frequencies that somehow formed words. The second was a buzzing, clicking sound that spoke in rapid bursts. "Unknown vessel," sang the Athali voice, "you have entered sacred combat space. Your presence disrupts the pure harmony of battle. Identify yourself or be destroyed." "Unrecognized ship," buzzed the Korthic voice. "You are an unwanted variable in our war equation. State your purpose or be eliminated as a threat to the collective." Reed activated his own communication system. When he spoke, his words were automatically translated into both alien languages at the same time. "I am Captain Marcus Reed, representing the human species and the United Earth Federation. I have come to propose an end to your war." The reaction was immediate. Both fleets began moving again, but not toward each other. Every ship turned to face the Defiance. "Impossible," sang the Athali admiral. "Humans are a myth, a story told by traders from the Outer Rim." "Improbable," buzzed the Korthic commander. "No species exists beyond our knowledge. The collective knows all. We are very real," Reed replied calmly. "And we have been watching your war for many years. We know both of your languages. We know your weapons, your tactics, and your weaknesses. We also know that this war will destroy both of your civilizations if it continues." The bridge of the Defiance was tense. Reed's crew watched as hundreds of alien ships moved in space around them. Any one of those vessels could destroy their ship in seconds, but Reed seemed completely calm. "Sir," Walsh whispered, "the Athali flagship is moving closer." "So is the Korthic command ship. Let them come," Reed said. "They want to get a better look at us." The two command ships approached slowly, their weapons still charged but not aimed directly at the human vessel. Reed could see them clearly now. On the main screen, the HFY flagship was a massive crystal cathedral that sang with beautiful harmonics. It was easily 10 times the size of the Defiance, its surfaces covered in geometric patterns that glowed with inner light. The Korthak command ship was equally impressive, but in a completely different way. It looked like a giant insect made of metal and flesh, its biomechanical hull pulsing with veins of energy. Smaller ships attached and detached from it like cells in a living organism. "Unknown human," the HFY admiral sang, "if you truly exist, then you know the crystal song declares this war sacred. The insect collective must be cleansed from the galaxy. There can be no harmony while they exist." "Illogical human," buzzed the Korthak commander. "If you possess knowledge, then you understand the collective's purpose. The crystal parasites consume resources without contributing to the greater good. They must be absorbed or destroyed." Reed listened to both sides, then activated his communication system again. "I understand your positions, but I have a proposal that neither of you have considered." "Speak quickly," both commanders said at almost the same time. "Meet me aboard my ship, both of you. Let me show you something that will change everything." The suggestion caused chaos on both fleets. HFY ships began singing in discord, their harmonics clashing as they argued among themselves. The Korthak vessels swarmed in agitated patterns, their collective mind debating rapidly. "You ask the impossible," the HFY admiral finally sang. "To meet with the insect collective on neutral ground? There is no harmony in such discord." "You request the illogical," buzzed the Korthak commander. "To place collective members in the same space as crystal parasites? The risk is unacceptable." Reed had expected this reaction. "Then let me prove to you that I can be trusted." Without warning, one of the smaller HFY ships fired a warning shot. A brilliant beam of crystal energy lanced out toward the Defiance. It was not meant to destroy, just to test the human ship's defenses. The quantum armor reacted instantly. The energy beam struck the protective field around the ship and simply disappeared, absorbed harmlessly into the adaptive shielding. Both fleets went silent. "Impressive," the HFY admiral sang softly. "Concerning," buzzed the Korthak commander. Reed stood up on his bridge. "That was a warning shot. Your most powerful weapons would not penetrate our defenses. But I am not here to threaten you. I am here to save you both." "Explain," both commanders demanded. "Send envoys to my ship." 2 representatives from each fleet. "Let me show you what humans have learned by watching your war. Let me show you why you are both going to lose." The docking bay of the Defiance had been specially prepared for this moment. Dr. Foster had worked for hours to create an environment that could accommodate both alien species. One side of the bay was filled with harmonic resonators for the HFY crystal formations that would make them feel comfortable. The other side had bioatmospheric processors for the Korthak, devices that could maintain the chemical mixtures their insect-like bodies needed. Captain Reed stood in the center, wearing his formal uniform. This was the most important meeting in human history, and he knew it. "Envoys approaching," reported Lieutenant Walsh over the communication system. 2 vessels, 1 crystal, 1 bioorganic. Reed watched through the transparent aluminum windows as the alien shuttles entered the docking bay. The HFY craft was a small, singing crystal that landed with perfect grace. The Korthak vessel was a living pod that attached to the deck like a giant insect gripping a surface. From the crystal shuttle stepped a being unlike anything humans had ever seen in person. Harmonic Prime was tall and thin, her body made of living crystal that chimed softly with each movement. Her face was a geometric pattern of faceted gems that reflected light in beautiful colors. When she spoke, her voice was like a symphony. The Korthak representative emerged from the biopod. Speaker cast was smaller than Reed had expected, but no less impressive. His exoskeleton was dark and shining, covered in small sensors and communication organs. Multiple eyes tracked movement independently, and his mandibles clicked as he breathed through specialized air filters. Welcome aboard the UES Defiance, Reed said, his words automatically translated for both guests. I am Captain Marcus Reed. Harmonic Prime sang a greeting that sounded like crystal bells. This one acknowledges the human Reed. This vessel resonates with unknown harmonics. Most curious, Speakercast buzzed his response. The collective observes through this unit. Human technology. Presence interesting variables. State your purpose quickly. Reed gestured toward the conference room he had prepared. Please follow me. What I have to show you will take some time to explain. The conference room was Reed's masterpiece of diplomatic preparation. The table was made of materials that could conduct both crystal harmonics and bioelectrical signals. The walls displayed holographic star charts showing the entire Vega sector. Environmental controls kept the air comfortable for all three species. Be seated, Reed said, taking his place. At the head of the table, or positioned as you prefer. Harmonic Prime chose to stand near one of the harmonic resonators, her crystalline body singing softly in tune with it. Speakercast remained standing as well, his multiple eyes constantly scanning the room for threats. You claim to know our languages, Harmonic Prime sang. You claim to understand our war. Prove these claims. Reed activated the holographic display. The room filled with images of battles, ship designs, and tactical analyses. We have been watching your conflict for 50 years. Our sensors have recorded every major engagement. Our computers have analyzed your strategies, your technologies, and your resources. The aliens stared at the detailed information floating in the air around them. Reed showed them battle records they thought were secret, weapon specifications they had never shared, and population data from their homeworlds. Impossible, Speakercast buzzed. These records are protected by the collective mind. No outsider could obtain them. Improbable, Harmonic Prime sang in harmony. The crystal songs carry this knowledge only among the chosen. How do humans possess such harmonics? Reed smiled grimly. We have been listening, learning, preparing for this moment. He changed the display to show resource charts and population graphs, but what we learned disturbs us greatly. The new images were sobering. Both civilizations showed declining populations, failing infrastructure and resource depletion. The graphs projected into the future showed a clear trend. According to our analysis, Reed said quietly, both of your civilizations will collapse within 50 years if this war continues. Harmonic Prime's crystal body chimed in discord. The pure crystal song does not speak of failure, only of eventual harmony through victory. Speakercast's mandibles clicked rapidly. The collective calculates victory probabilities constantly. We do not compute failure scenarios. That's your problem, Reed said bluntly. You're both so focused on winning that you can't see you're both losing. He changed the display again. This time it showed the effects of the war on both homeworlds. The Athali's crystal matrices were fracturing from stress. Their harmonic networks were breaking down as more and more of their people died in battle. The Cortex hive structures were failing as well. Constant reproduction for warfare was causing genetic degradation in their species. Your war is consuming both civilizations from within, Reed explained. Every ship you build for battle is a ship you can't use for exploration or trade. Every warrior you create is a scientist or engineer you don't have. You're destroying yourselves. Both aliens studied the data carefully. Reed could see them processing the information, checking it against their own knowledge. Assuming human data is accurate, Speakercast finally buzzed, what solution does the collective consciousness called humanity propose? Reed had been waiting for this question. Peace, cooperation, mutual benefit instead of mutual destruction? Impossible. Both aliens said at exactly the same time. The crystal song declares the insect collective to be discord incarnate, Harmonic Prime sang. There can be no harmony while they exist. The collective has determined that crystal parasites consume resources inefficiently, Speakercast buzzed. They cannot be integrated into the greater good. Reed leaned forward on the table. What if I told you that your technologies could help each other instead of destroying each other? He activated a new display showing molecular diagrams and energy patterns. Your crystal technology, Harmonic Prime, could stabilize the cortex. Genetic matrices, it could solve their degradation problem. Speaker Cast's eyes focused intently on the display. Intriguing. The collective had not considered crystal matrix stabilization for biogenetic repair. And your bioengineering, Speaker Cast, could repair the fractures in ethali crystal networks? It could heal the damage that centuries of war stress have caused. Harmonic Prime's body chimed with a new harmonic frequency. One reads computers. Identified as curiosity. The human suggests biological harmony with crystal structures. This resonates with unknown possibilities. Reed stood up and activated the final part of his presentation. The display showed fusion reactors, clean energy technology that neither civilization had mastered. Humanity offers this, he said simply. Clean, unlimited energy for both civilizations. Enough power to heal your worlds, expand into new systems, and build a future without war. Both aliens stared at the fusion technology displays. Reed could see the desire in their postures. This was something they both desperately needed. What does humanity require in exchange? Speaker Cast asked suspiciously. Peace, Reed replied. A formal treaty between your civilizations. An agreement to work together instead of destroying each other. And friendship with humanity as we all explore the galaxy together. The conference room fell silent except for the soft humming of the ship's systems. Both aliens were clearly thinking, processing the unprecedented offer. Finally, Harmonic Prime sang in a new frequency, one that sounded almost hopeful. The crystal song has never contemplated harmony with the collective mind, but the human presents harmonics we have not considered. Speaker Cast's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The collective requires time to process these new variables. Cooperation with crystal entities was not in our original programming, Reed nodded. Take all the time you need. But while you decide, your people continue to die. Your worlds continue to fail. Every day you delay is another day closer to the collapse of both civilizations. Both envoys prepared to leave, their minds full of new possibilities they had never imagined. As they reached the docking bay, Harmonic Prime turned back to Reed. Human Captain, she sang, if the crystal song could find harmony with the collective mind, what assurance do we have that humanity would not seek to control both? Reed looked her directly in what he assumed were her optical sensors. Because humanity learned long ago that controlling others only leads to conflict. We prefer cooperation to conquest. Speaker Cast also paused before entering his biopod. If the collective agrees to coexistence with crystal entities, how does humanity propose to prevent future conflicts? By being here, Reed replied simply. By watching, mediating, and helping when problems arise. That's what friends do. As both shuttles departed, Reed returned to the bridge. His crew looked at him expectantly. How do you think it went, sir? Walsh asked. Reed stared out at the two massive fleets still holding their positions around his ship. We'll know soon enough. Either we just prevented the destruction of two civilizations, or we just made ourselves the target of both. For 6 hours, the three fleets remained in tense formation around the disputed planet. The Defiance held its position between the two alien armadas while Captain Reed waited for an answer. His crew monitored communications as both civilizations debated among themselves. Sir, Walsh reported from her station, we're detecting massive communication traffic between all ships in both fleets. The Ethali are singing in frequencies we've never recorded before. The Korthak biosignals are off. The charts. Dr. Foster studied the readings with interest. They're having the biggest debate in their civilization's history. The Ethali harmonic patterns suggest deep discord about our proposal. The Korthak collective mind is processing more data than they've ever handled at once. Reed nodded grimly. He had expected this reaction. How long do you think they'll take to decide? Could be days, Foster replied. Both species make decisions very differently than humans. The Ethali need to achieve harmonic consensus. Every voice must sing in agreement. The Korthak collective has to process our proposal through millions of individual minds. Chief Engineer. Torres looked up from his console. Captain, we're getting some concerning readings. Both fleets are experiencing internal tensions. Some ships are breaking formation. Reed moved to the tactical display. He could see what Torres meant. Several Ithali vessels had moved away from their main fleet, their crystal hulls glowing with angry red light. Similarly, some Korthak ships were clustering together separately from their command vessel. Sir, Walsh said urgently, we're receiving a transmission from both fleet commanders. They want to speak with you again. On screen. Reed ordered. The main viewer split to show both alien commanders. Admiral Christhane of the Ithali looked agitated, her crystal form flickering with unstable harmonics. Hive Commander Vex appeared stressed as well, his biomechanical components twitching with nervous energy. Human Reed, Admiral Christhane sang. In Discord, the crystal song fractures over your proposal. Many voices refuse to consider harmony with the collective mind. They demand immediate departure of human interference. Captain Reed, Hive Commander Vex buzzed rapidly. The collective experiences unprecedented division. Warrior castes reject cooperation with crystal parasites. They calculate higher probability of success through continued warfare. Reed had expected this too. How many of your forces oppose the peace talks? Approximately 30% of crystal voices sing for continued war, Christhane admitted. 27% of collective units demand immediate return to combat. Status, Vex reported. Reed studied both commanders carefully. And what do you personally believe is the right choice? The question seemed to surprise both aliens. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Christhane's harmonics shifted to a softer, more contemplative frequency. This one has sung the war song for 2 centuries. This one has witnessed the gradual discord creeping into the crystal matrices. Your analysis resonates with truth frequencies that cannot be ignored. Vex's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. This unit has calculated battle outcomes for 143 years. The collective's projections align with human data projections. Continued warfare leads to civilization termination. Then you both want peace, Reed concluded. But parts of your civilizations don't trust it. Correct, both commanders said. Simultaneously, Reed made a decision. Then let me help you convince them. Bring both fleets' representatives aboard the Defiance. Let me show them something that will change their minds. 2 hours later, the docking bay of the human battleship hosted the largest diplomatic gathering in galactic history. 20 Ithali singers and 20 Korthak speakers had come aboard, representing every faction within both fleets. The conference room had been expanded using modular sections to accommodate the crowd. Reed stood at the center while the aliens arranged themselves around him, the Ithali humming softly in their harmonic resonators, the Korthak clicking and buzzing in their bioatmospheric chambers. Welcome, Reed began. I know many of you oppose the idea of peace with your ancient enemies. You believe your civilizations are too different to coexist. You think cooperation is impossible? Several Ithali sang in agreement, their voices carrying notes of suspicion and anger. The Korthak warrior castes buzzed aggressively, their mandibles snapping in hostile patterns. Let me show you something, Reed continued, activating the holographic display. This is Earth, my home world. The room filled with images of humanity's planet. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds swirling in complex weather patterns. Cities with gleaming towers reaching toward the sky. Ships traveling between the stars. Beautiful, one of the younger Ithali sang despite herself. Efficiently organized, admitted a Korthak warrior caste. But Earth wasn't always like this, Reed said, changing the display. Now it showed images from human history, wars, destruction, cities in flames, weapons of terrible power. For thousands of years, humans fought each other just like you do now. We had different nations, different beliefs, different ways of life. We thought we were too different to live in peace. The images showed the progression of human warfare, from primitive weapons to nuclear devastation. The aliens watched in fascination. And horror, we nearly destroyed ourselves, Reed continued. Just like you are doing now. We came within minutes of making our entire planet uninhabitable. What changed? Asked Harmonic Prime, who had returned as the lead Ithali negotiator. Reed smiled. We learned that our differences made us stronger, not weaker. We discovered that cooperation achieved more than competition. The display changed again, showing the development of human space technology, the colonization of other worlds, the gradual unification of Earth under a single government. When we finally learned to work together, we accomplished in 1 century what we have failed to do in 10 centuries of fighting. Speakercast leaned forward with interest. The collective observes rapid technological advancement following cooperation protocols. Exactly, Reed said. And now let me show you what your civilizations could achieve together. The holographic display exploded with new images, theoretical technologies that could only be created by combining Ithali crystal science with Korthic bioengineering, ships that could travel between galaxies, terraforming systems that could create new worlds in years instead of centuries, medical technology that could extend life indefinitely. Your crystal matrices, Reed explained to the Ithali, could create quantum computers powerful enough to simulate entire universes, but they need bio-neural networks to interface with living minds. Your bioengineering, he said to the Korthak, could create organisms capable of surviving in any environment. But they need crystal technology to maintain genetic stability across generations. The aliens stared at the possibilities floating in the air around them. Technologies that neither civilization could develop alone were within reach if they worked together. Furthermore, Reed continued, humanity offers our fusion technology as a foundation for all of this. Clean energy to power your healing worlds. Reliable power sources for your new colonies. Fuel for ships that could explore beyond this galaxy. A young Ithali warrior singer spoke up, her voice carrying notes of curiosity rather than hostility. The human suggests that war strength could become exploration strength through cooperation? Yes, Reed replied simply. A Korthic battle specialist buzzed thoughtfully. The collective calculates exponential advancement potential through resource combination rather than resource competition, Reed could see. The mood in the room changing. Where there had been suspicion and anger, now there was curiosity and hope. But what guarantees do we have? Demanded an older Ithali commander. How do we know the collective mind will not eventually consume crystal consciousness? How does the collective trust crystal entities not to impose harmonic control over biological minds? Countered a Korthic war leader, Reed had been waiting for these questions. You don't have to trust each other immediately. You just have to trust the process. He activated a new display showing a detailed plan for gradual cooperation. We start small, joint research stations, shared colonies on uninhabited worlds, trade agreements for resources. Each success builds trust for the next step. And humanity's role in this process? Asked Speaker Cast. We watch, we mediate when disputes arise, we share our technology and knowledge freely. But we don't control anything. Each civilization remains independent. Dr. Foster stepped forward. Captain, if I may add something? Reed nodded. Foster addressed the assembled aliens. In human history, we learned that the strongest alliances are between equals, not between masters and servants. We're not offering to rule you, we're offering to stand beside you as partners. The room fell silent as both sides considered this unprecedented proposal. Finally, Harmonic Prime sang in a new harmonic frequency, one that Reed's computers identified as cautious. Optimism. The crystal song could learn to harmonize with new voices, she sang slowly. If the collective mind proves willing to sing in cooperation rather than consumption. Speakercast's mandibles clicked in what Reed recognized as the Korthak equivalent of a smile. The collective calculates acceptable risk levels for limited cooperation protocols. If crystal entities demonstrate non-parasitic behavior patterns, Reed felt a surge of hope. They were actually considering it. After 3 centuries of war, both sides were willing to try peace. Then we have an agreement in principle? He asked of both. Sides sang and buzzed their cautious agreement. But before anyone could celebrate, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. "Captain," Walsh's voice came over the communication system. "We have a problem. Multiple ships from both fleets are breaking away from the main formations. They're moving to attack positions." Reed rushed to the nearest display screen. His heart sank as he saw what was happening. The extremist factions from both civilizations, the ones who refused to consider peace, were preparing to destroy the diplomatic meeting, and the Defiance was caught directly in the middle. "Battle stations," Reed commanded as he ran toward the bridge. Behind him, the alien diplomats followed in confusion and growing alarm. The Ithali sang in discord while the Korthak buzzed frantically, trying to contact their respective fleets. Reed reached the bridge to find chaos. On the main screen, he could see 30 Ithali warships breaking away from their main fleet, their crystal hulls glowing with angry red light. At the same time, 27 Korthak vessels were swarming away from their command ship, bioweapons, charging with deadly energy. "Report," Reed barked. "The extremist factions from both sides are coordinating an attack," Walsh said urgently. "They're targeting us first, then each other. They want to destroy the peace talks and restart the war." Chief Engineer Torres was frantically working at his station. "Sir, our quantum armor can handle some punishment, but not from 50 ships. At once, we need to move." Reed stared at the tactical display. The rogue ships were approaching from multiple directions, trying to surround the Defiance. But something was wrong with their formation. "Wait," Reed said suddenly. "They're not just attacking us. Look at their positions." Dr. Foster joined them on the bridge, along with Harmonic Prime and Speakercast. "Captain," Foster said, "the extremists are trying to force their own fleets to fight. If they destroy the peace talks, both main fleets will have no choice but to resume the war." Harmonic Prime sang in anguish. "The Discord singers seek to shatter all harmony. They would rather see the crystal song end in destruction than change to new frequencies." Speakercast's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The warrior casts calculate that death in battle is preferable to cooperation with crystal entities. They reject collective survival in favor of individual glory." Reed made a decision. "That would change galactic history. Then we stop them. All of us together." "Sir?" Walsh asked in confusion. Reed turned to the alien diplomats. "Your extremists want war. Your moderates want peace. Let's show the galaxy which side is stronger." He activated the ship's communication system, broadcasting to all vessels in the system. "Admiral Christane, Hive Commander Vex, this is Captain Reed. Your rogue factions are attacking neutral ground during peace negotiations. Will you help us stop them?" For a moment, space was silent. Then Admiral Christane's voice sang across the void, clear and strong. "Crystal Song United! All loyal vessels, protect the Harmony Seekers." Hive Commander Vex's response buzzed with determination. "Collective consensus achieved. All loyal units, defend cooperation protocols." What happened next had never occurred in 3 centuries of war. The main Ithali fleet and the main Korthak fleet began working together, moving to intercept their own rogue factions. "Impossible," breathed Walsh. "They're actually cooperating." The Defiance found itself at the center of the strangest battle in galactic history. Ithali ships fired crystal lances to disable other Ithali vessels. Korthak bioships released neutralizing agents against other Korthak craft. And through it all, the human battleship coordinated the joint effort. "Torres, can you link our targeting systems with both fleets?" Reed asked. "Already on it, sir." Sharing tactical data with all loyal vessels. Reed watched as human technology helped former enemies work together. The Defiance's advanced sensors could track all the rogue ships simultaneously, feeding targeting information to both allied fleets in real time. "This is incredible," Dr. Foster said, watching the tactical display. "They're not just fighting together, they're learning from each other. Look at those formations." Reed could see it too. The Ithali ships were adopting Korthak swarming tactics, while the Korthak vessels were using Ithali harmonic coordination. 300 years of watching each other fight, was now being used for cooperation instead of destruction, but the rogue factions were not giving up easily. A group of Ithali extremists broke through the defensive line and launched a massive crystal bombardment directly at the Defiance. "Incoming!" Walsh shouted. "Multiple crystal lances, maximum power!" The quantum armor flared to life, but Reed could see it wouldn't be enough. The combined firepower was too intense. Then something unexpected happened. A squadron of Korthek bioships threw themselves between the attack and the human vessel. The crystal energy meant to destroy the Defiance instead struck the Korthek ships, their bio-armor absorbing the impact. "They're protecting us," Torres said in amazement. At the same time, when a swarm of Korthek rogue vessels launched bioacid torpedoes at a damaged Ithali cruiser, human fusion beams intercepted the weapons in space, destroying them before they could hit their target. The battle became a three-way dance of mutual protection. Each species defended the others, creating a bond forged in combat that would last for generations. "Sir," Walsh reported, "the rogue factions are falling back. They can't fight their own people and us at the same time." Reed watched as the last extremist ships were surrounded and forced to surrender. Some were disabled by non-lethal weapons. Others simply stopped fighting when they realized their own civilizations had chosen cooperation over continued war. "All rogue vessels neutralized," Torres announced. "The extremist threat is over." Reed activated the communication system one final time. "Admiral Christhane, Hive Commander Vex, thank you for choosing peace over war. Your courage today has saved both civilizations." "Human Reed," Christhane sang, her harmonics now including new frequencies that blended with Korthek biorhythms. "The crystal song learns new melodies through cooperation. This harmony was not possible before." "Captain Reed," Vex buzzed, his collective consciousness expanded to include previously unknown variables. "The collective has calculated that cooperation yields exponentially superior results to competition. This was not programmed, but was discovered." 3 months later, Captain Reed stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the galaxy's first tri-species facility. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see Ithali crystal ships and Korthek bio-vessels working together to construct new sections of the station. Dr. Foster joined him, carrying a datapad with the latest reports. "The joint terraforming project in the Delta system is ahead of schedule. The Ithali crystal technology is working perfectly with Korthek bioengineering, their healing planets that were destroyed in the war." Reed nodded, watching as a group of young Ithali and Korthek worked together in the station's research lab. They were designing new technologies that neither species could have created alone. "Any word from Earth?" Reed asked. Foster smiled. "The High Command is very pleased. They're sending more diplomatic ships to handle other conflicts in the galaxy. It seems everyone wants human mediators now." Reed had been promoted to Commodore and given command of humanity's first diplomatic fleet. The Defiance was now the flagship of a new era in galactic politics. "Sir," Walsh called from the communication station, "we're receiving requests for mediation from 3 different sectors. The Spiral Arm Confederation wants help with a trade dispute. The Outer Rim Alliance is asking for assistance with territorial negotiations. And there's a new contact from beyond the galactic edge, something called the Void Collective." Reed looked out at the stars, thinking about humanity's future among them. The galaxy was vast and full of conflicts waiting to be resolved. But humans had proven they could bring peace where others saw only war. "Set course for the Spiral Arm," Reed ordered. "Let's go make some more friends." As the Defiance prepared to depart for its next mission, Reed reflected on what they had accomplished. The galaxy hadn't frozen in fear when humanity arrived, had paused in hope of finally finding peace, and that hope was becoming reality. One diplomatic mission at a time, the Ithali and Korthek were no longer ancient enemies. They were partners, allies, and friends. Their combined technologies were healing worlds and creating wonders. Their children would grow up in a galaxy without the 300-year war. Most importantly, they had all learned that differences didn't have to mean conflict. In fact, those differences could become strengths when combined with trust, understanding, and cooperation. As the human battleship jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward its next challenge, the communication arrays of Harmony Station broadcast a message to the entire galaxy: peace is possible, hope is real, and humanity stands ready to help anyone willing to choose cooperation over conquest. The war was over. The future had begun.